Alright guys, just real quick, instead of the 10-second intro, I'm going to make a 10-second segment of me explaining something. This is my opinion and in no way fact. If you disagree, by all means go ahead. We'll have a reasonable discussion in the comments. I will completely agree with you because it is your opinion. This just happens to be mine. So I hope you guys enjoy.
Mass Effect 3.
Alright, let's get the dark horse out of the way. Yes, the ending was probably one of the worst in video games, and yes, it annoyed millions of fans. It was even so bad that it tainted the entire Mass Effect series for some. But we cannot deny that 97% of this series was one of the best RPG, action-adventure, sci-fi entertainment forms to grace the face of the Earth. 99% of ME3 continued that tradition. It had all the great things people loved about the series. It had great graphics, voice acting, combat, exploration, making the good or bad choices. And I would normally say story, but we know how that ends. We just can't deny that Mass Effect 3 was great besides the ending, and that's why it made my 2012 Game of the Year list.
Sleeping Dogs.
The game that was almost cancelled. It actually did provide a good crime drama story that didn't hold back, in the gruesome or realism department. In other words, it was realistic, if not pushing it. The gameplay, too, was a lot smoother than what was expected, and it was quite enjoyable. In other words, it was a good GTA substitute. Plus, the world-class voice acting didn't hurt this game's chances of getting on my Game of the Year list.
Tekken Tag Tournament 2.
A sequel to one of the most cherished fighting games ever didn't disappoint. The story, of course, didn't make a lick of sense, but it was still wondrous to experience and see Unknown again. The fighting felt like old-school Tekken, and it was just an all-around great game that all should experience, minus those who hate fighting games.
The Walking Dead.
The extremely emotional, yet push X to play downloadable title captured millions of fans' hearts, not including those who are already fans of the comic book series or the show. The story is top-notch and is something everyone should experience with great voice acting to accent it. Now, I am not hating gameplay, but it was only puzzle solving and making decisions on its basic level. Again, I'm not hating it because it was really fun and enjoyable. But the story is where the real treasure is at in this game, since it was ridden with technical issues.
Resident Evil 6. Journey.
Probably the most beautiful game of the year. Sure, it was only 2 hours, but the amazing scenery, soundtrack, uplifting narrative, and co-op gameplay really made it a title all of you PS3 owners should experience. Let's just put it this way. If a game can make just roaming around fun, you know they did something right.
Dragon's Dogma.
The game that, quote, came out of left field, end quote, for me. So much so that I almost didn't get it, but I am glad I did. The story was extremely interesting, but it wasn't very clear as the ending was very interpretational, along with other plot inconsistencies. The gameplay was very, not hold your hand, and it was enjoyable on a level that probably hasn't been experienced in a game since Demon's Souls. The exploration may be minimal compared to what we're used to in an RPG, but the lack of fast travel really makes this world one you need to take part in.
Borderlands 2.
Gearbox's baby improved every way in the second Borderlands game. A great transition from the first game in terms of story and the use of old characters, and the voice acting / writing is some of the best ever. The world of Pandora is just bigger, badder, and better than ever. Everything is enjoyable, and the gameplay is extremely fun on your own, and that's not even counting the co-op multiplayer.
Dishonored.
Not as long as some hoped, Dishonored was truly an infinite replayability game. The choices you made didn't only influence the story, but how others treated you, and ultimately how you played the game. The gameplay was a great mix of combat, stealth, and wits that really fit into the environment, and that environment was great as well because Dunwall equaled Rapture in my opinion in awe and tone. The voice acting was bland at times, but it was at least perfect or the acceptable amount for a new IP.
Assassin's Creed 3.
Personally, not the best in the series, but a definite must-play for fans of the series. The Desmond missions were more fleshed out, but the real deal, of course, happens within the Animus. Connor was a great character to play and watch in his ever-losing battle for his people and his quest for his father's love. Okay, maybe that last part wasn't all true, but you felt it too. The gameplay was what we all know and love, but that means there were typical tech issues as well. Those aside, the graphics, voice acting, and story were all mesmerizing.
Far Cry 3.
Probably the closest to next gen we'll be getting without being in the next gen. Graphics, voice acting, and environment are all masterfully done. The gameplay for me personally was probably the most satisfying in terms of shooting a gun because it just felt so satisfying. You'll have to take my word on it. Basically, if you want a taste of the PS4, enjoy RPGs and exploring, buy this game. It's just a shame that the co-op and multiplayer was really nothing to remember.
And the winner is Borderlands 2.
Borderlands 2 wins because its story, voice acting, world, gameplay, and co-op multiplayer work in such a way that almost screams the perfect game. Tons of guns to find, tons of side missions, a reasonable length in the story, and not to mention the 2 DLC packs that are out, provides tons of content, and mix that in with the great fun that is Borderlands 2, it generates an experience akin to my favorite video games of all time.